annually without sufficient accommodation. Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives seeks support for over 260,000 internally displaced persons spread across Southeast. On the foreign scene, China's housing market shows signs of recovery. We begin with national matters. President Bola Tinubu will on Wednesday present the 2025 budget proposal to a joint session of the National Assembly. This was made known by the Secretary of Research and Information at the National Assembly, Dr. Ali Baride Umaru, in the National Assembly on Monday, while confirming the budget presentation to journalists and requesting a list of those to be allowed into the chamber. Ahead of the budget presentation, Tinubu had 3 weeks ago forwarded to both chambers of the National Assembly the 2024-2026 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper, where the sum of 26.1 trillion naira was proposed as the total expenditure profile for the 2025 fiscal year. The Senate, through its Committee on Finance, after 2 weeks of interactive sessions with head of ministries, departments and agencies on revenue and expenditure projections made for them, approved the MTEF. Now, the Port Harcourt refinery has finally commenced operations after undergoing renovation and modernization that began in 2021 after the federal government secured a $1.5 billion contract to rehabilitate the facility. The first trucks of petroleum products will be lifted from the facility on Tuesday under the supervision of the Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, Mele Kyari, who toured the facility on Monday night. Located at Alesa Eleme in Port Harcourt, the refinery complex comprises 2 operational units established in 1965 and 1989, and with a combined installed capacity of 210,000 barrels per day. The older plant has a capacity of 60,000 barrels per stream day, while the newer plant has 150,000 barrels per capacity. The refinery's resumption is expected to further reduce Nigerians' dependence on imported petroleum products and reduce foreign exchange pressures associated with fuel importation. The PHRC is also expected to produce premium motor spirit, diesel, and liquefied petroleum gas, among others. Now, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has said there is no specific date for the ongoing quick fix project for the Kaduna refinery. Managing Director of the Kaduna Refining and Petrochemical Company, Dr. Mustapha Sugungo, had scheduled the completion of the project for the end of 2024. Recall that the $741 million contract was awarded to South Korea's Daewoo Engineering and Construction to rehabilitate the Kaduna refinery. Under the quick fix repairer contract, the firm will be responsible for restoring production at the 110,000 barrels a day facility to at least 60% of its capacity by the end of 2024. Now to the Senate. In a bid to shape Nigerians' fiscal future, the Joint Committee on Finance and Budget Planning of the Senate and House of Representatives convened a stakeholders meeting to deliberate on the 2025-2027 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper. The meeting aimed to align the nation's fiscal policies with its development priorities while addressing economic challenges. Chairman of the Senate Committee on Finance, Senator Sani Musa, representing Niger East Federal Constituency, in his opening remarks described the MTEF and FSP as essential tools for guiding the nation's budget. He provided key highlights of the proposed framework. Addressing the fiscal challenges, Senator Musa underscored the need to optimize revenue streams, tackle leakages, and strengthen institutions.
It is imperative to address leakages across all revenue-generating channels. We must focus on strengthening our institutions, enhancing efficiency, and embracing innovation to ensure that every naira due to the government is collected and accounted for. To draw a parallel, South Africa, for example, recently reported a tax revenue collection of 1.686 trillion rand, approximately about $94 billion, for the fiscal year March 31st, 2023. This fell just slightly below its 1.692 trillion rand target, reflecting disciplined revenue generation and accountability. For Nigeria to achieve similar or better results, we must requalify and diversify our revenue streams, adopt innovative revenue models, and enhance the capacity of government-owned enterprises to implement sustainable business strategies. By doing so, we can build a resilient fiscal framework capable of supporting our developmental aspirations.
Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, Adewale Edun, expressed optimism about the administration's economic policies under President Bola Tinubu. He noted that Nigerians' GDP is on the rise.
Under His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Nigeria has changed fundamentally. His Excellency took over very difficult economic circumstances, as we know. Key decisions had to be taken to reset this economy on a macroeconomic path that was not just sustainable in terms of fiscal spending, but that would engender the investment by Nigerians. It's important, but we also have to be clear with ourselves. Inflation is still high and elevated, and everybody, particularly the poor and those vulnerable, feel it. And that's why interventions are being made, particularly for them. But let me just...
The Minister for National Budget and Planning, Atiku Bagudu, echoed these sentiments, emphasizing that strengthening domestic production could play a critical role in reducing inflation.
The reality of the renewed POP agenda, the 8 priority areas, are to strengthen the macroeconomic environment so that it can include all. And a number of measures which have been taken and which have been supported by the National Assembly, we believe the heavy lifting phase has been undertaken. Even the exchange rate is supportive of domestic production, because today as an importer may feel the exchange rate is not so favorable, but our exporters are smiling. So we want more domestic production. We want more of our young people supplying talent outside the country, and they are supported in doing so by a talent development program so that they can provide services abroad, and there's more production, more, and in addition, but all the measures being taken that we believe will strengthen domestic production, will help lowering of inflation further.
Declaring the meeting open, Deputy Senate President Senator Barrow, representing the Senate President, assured that the 10th National Assembly remains committed to formulating policies that drive economic prosperity and development for all Nigerians. The Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Benjamin Okezie Kalu, has called for support from international non-governmental organizations as well as the government agencies to tackle the humanitarian crisis in the Southeast region. He says the Southeast region is facing a severe humanitarian crisis with over 268,000 internally displaced persons spread across 158 camps and affected communities. Kalu made a revelation while speaking at a round-table discussion with international non-governmental organizations in a program titled Through Their Eyes, a Call to Action, addressing humanitarian challenges in the Southeast in Abuja on Monday.
Southeast geopolitical zone of Nigeria is grappling with a severe humanitarian crisis characterized by displacement, violence, and ecological challenges. The needs assessment report presented today underscores the grim realities. Over 268 1,000 internally displaced persons are spread across 158 camps in affected communities. The states of Enugu State, Imo State, Abia State, Anambra, and Ebonyi bear the brunt of these crises, with precarious living conditions, leaving many without access to clean water, access to adequate shelter, access to health care and education. Shelter in particular remains a pressing concern. Families live in makeshift camps or overcrowded host communities, exposed to health risks, insecurity, and loss of dignity.
In their separate remarks, stakeholders representing several relevant agencies, both public and private, expressed surprise over the overwhelming degree of ecological challenges and human crisis in the Southeast region, following a video documentary presented at the roundtable discussion. They also appealed for increase in the 2025 budgetary allocation to all the relevant agencies to enable them function optimally, while pledging their respective committees to collaborate with the Office of the Deputy Speaker to address the menace.
The humanitarian situation in Nigeria remains dire. As of November 2024, 25 million Nigerians are projected to face acute food insecurity in the 2024 lean season, with the number rising to 33 million people in 2025. Conflict, climate shocks, and inflation are key drivers. In addition to the well-known challenges in the Northeast, as we have been hearing today, rising concerns over climate-induced flooding and pockets of insecurity in the Southeast amplify the need for coordinated multi-sectoral responses. The humanitarian development and peace-building work of our members spans across all these regions and communities in Nigeria affected by the challenges mentioned. INGO Forum members are actively engaging in providing life-saving humanitarian assistance, promoting peace, and contributing to long-term development efforts, as you will see in the reports that have been distributed by my colleagues today.
We have school feeding program, which takes care of over 9 million children in Nigeria, about 10 million children in Nigeria. We also have another program called Grant for Enterprising and Empowerment Program. Our handicap, sir. For almost a year, none of this program is functional because of the outcry and the problems that we had. Since we assumed duty 4 months ago, we have been trying to come up with so many plans, strategies, to see how the 2025 budget will come up with realities of Nigerians who are vulnerable and the poor. I assure you, Your Excellency, sir, we will do everything possible to reach out by this program's design of INSIPA to see that Southeast people will really be taken care of. By the data we see, about 268,074 IDPs are there lying in the Southeast, waiting for humanitarian assistance.